Hello. Welcome to the
Hey,
Creative Cousins podcast, episode 5. We're rolling.
today we're gonna, yes, we are. Today we're gonna talk about different personality types, and how your personality type can affect your art.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll talk about other things too.
Yeah, that's
But
like our
we're
main.
just gonna get right into it here. So Beth, how are you doing? Have you done any cool projects lately?
Well, I finished another marker drawing. You guessed it. Finished
Ooh,
another
show
one
us. Oh, I like that
for the
one.
video watchers.
That one reminds me,
There you
I know
go.
this is not what it is, but the colors remind me of like a lily pad.
I could see that. Yeah, the colors, yeah. I feel that. Yeah, I'm, doing more of those. And sorry if I sound awful. Today is a fair warning, getting over being sick, and my voice sounds bad. So I apologize. But we're gonna just keep it going. But fair warning. But besides that, I haven't really done that much else. But yeah, Allie, what have you done recently? I know you're always busy. You're always doing things. What's your most recent thing?
Um, my most recent thing was a branding photo shoot for my other cousin. You know Vicky, obviously.
Yeah,
Um, so I did some pictures of Rochelle. That was fun.
I
But
saw a couple.
tomorrow, yeah, I'm kind of like experimenting a little with my editing, like doing some different stuff, trying to make them look a little bit more cinematic, a little bit heavier. Like I'm doing a little bit of like heavier editing than I normally would because I'm kind of trying to go for like a certain aesthetic.
Interesting.
I might end up putting them on like a different, like I'm thinking about making like my boudoir Instagram like a boudoir slash creative page because I feel like there's some of my work that I feel like doesn't really belong on my main page, but like it doesn't, I don't do it enough for it to like deserve its own page. So I'm like, maybe I'll just make the boudoir page. Like, I'll keep it private, obviously, for boudoir, but like maybe put like some fantasy photography in there, like my own personal projects, kind of like whatever. If people are like interested in seeing that kind of photography, they can follow me on there. Um, yeah, so I'm thinking about that, but yeah, overall it's been good. I have a wedding, well, an elopement in 2 days. So just prepping for that. It
Wow,
was very last minute. They reached out to me like last week. They were like, "Hey, we decided we're gonna get married next Friday.
that's
Any chance you're free?"
crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But I'm very happy that they obviously like I was like the first one she reached out to, and like she was like very excited. And
Did
it's like
she know
somebody
you?
I actually know her
Oh,
from
okay.
when we were a lot younger. We were in like CCD together.
No,
Yeah.
that's so
Um,
funny. That is a long
and
time ago.
well, it's crazy because like we weren't even friends on Facebook or anything. The reason she even found out I was doing photography is because I posted in like a Boston Facebook group advertising my services like months ago.
That's
And I don't know
funny.
if she like maybe I actually haven't asked her if she recognized me right away from my name or if she like found out later, but she ended up following me and um ended up, you know, she had expressed interest at the time in doing like a city like photo shoot, but it didn't end up working out because of our schedules. And then
Oh,
months later, she came back to ask me to do her elopement, which was really cool and kind of cool that we're both from the same hometown, but now we're both living in like the Boston area.
that is so funny. What a weird coincidence. I didn't know that. That's
I know
so
it's kind of
weird.
crazy.
Yeah.
I called my parents the other day and I like had to tell my mom that story. I was like, "Mom, guess whose wedding I'm doing?"
That is so funny. That's like
And
really
yeah,
funny. How was she?
it's such a small world.
And she wasn't even like friends with you on Facebook, but she just happened to be like
She
looking.
like stumbled upon my like random like one-off advertisement in a random Boston Facebook group.
That is so weird.
I
Aw.
know. So it was really nice. I'm really excited to see them on Friday. I'm like so stoked. We've been like texting all week talking about it, hoping that it's not gonna rain. She's been like sending me her like outfit ideas and stuff. And
Cute.
yeah, I mean that's just kind of how I like to do things. I like to like make myself like very available to my couples. Like I just give them my personal phone number and like just be like, have at it. Text me anytime you need anything. Because for me it just like makes everything easier later.
Yeah.
Um,
I would say I would probably have like a business phone number at some point.
at some point I probably should, or like a WhatsApp.
You
Um,
can get a free
I feel like
one. I have a free
I feel like
one.
it's different since I like know her too, but like yeah, I feel like after a while probably don't want to just be giving out my personal phone number to everyone, but
Yeah. On my business card, I have my like a business number that I use. I don't use my phone
yeah.
number.
I know there's like multiple things you can do. Like I think there's something like a Google Voice
It's what I have. Yeah.
number or something. I don't remember why I didn't set it up at the time that you told me about it, but
Yeah, it's really easy because you just use the app and then you don't have to do anything. It goes. It works like a regular number, but it's not.
yeah. I can't remember why. I think I started to and like got distracted or something.
Well,
Or there was like something else I had to do first to set it up. I don't know. I've got to try again. But
yeah, I
yeah,
don't
that's
remember
pretty
taking
much
that
how
long.
my week's been going. I mean, um, I feel like I'm very like laid back when it comes to a lot of the business stuff. And I think like that's probably just my personality.
Wow,
Yeah.
Allie, you don't call. I'm not laid back. Is that you're saying I'm not laid back? Because I
No, no.
don't.
I'm just saying like I it takes me a while to like find structure. I am laid back and I'm easygoing, but I'm not saying you're not.
I'm
I'm
just
just saying
kidding. It's okay.
I am like kind of like all over the place. Um,
It's all right.
and you know, it can be a little hectic sometimes, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Just yeah, you gotta act natural, right? That's just your personality, and that's the way that it is. Don't
Just
change
roll with the
you.
punches. Honestly, I just roll with the punches and like try to just not make a big deal out of stuff. I like don't care like if people message me after hours, I just don't usually respond until the next day. But I don't get mad really. Like it's really hard to like make me mad. Like
Well, you need that in your line of work when you're like dealing with people, like all kinds of
yeah.
people. You really need a lot of patience,
I
I would
mean,
say.
it definitely happens where I get mad, but it's like situations where I feel like it's really extreme. Like the behaviors are really extreme or something. For the most part, I'm like pretty understanding. I try to like put
Yeah.
myself in everybody else's shoes and try to like understand that people are stressed and have other things and whatever, but I feel like you're pretty easygoing as well though.
Yeah. No, with certain things for sure. I can get annoyed easily sometimes, frustrated sometimes, but for the most part, I think I'm pretty chill as a person,
Yeah,
personally.
like you're communicative too. Like I feel like you are like always updating your commission clients and like sending them progress pictures and whatnot.
I know. I'm always trying to prevent things from happening. Like in case like even if they don't ask for it, I try to like assume that like I don't know, like even like people say not to like send updates that much, but I'm like worried if I don't send like some progress updates, I'm gonna get like messages about it.
Messages.
So I
Yeah.
try to like
Like, oh,
prevent it.
like how's it going?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think people get worried. I do think people get worried if it's been a while and they like, it's like they think you've like forgotten about it or
I
something.
always worry that people think I'm like I'm like just lazy or something. Because like I am a little lazy, but I don't want anyone else to know that. And so I try, and so I
Same.
try not to be when it comes to business stuff. I try my best to be on top of it as much as possible. So I think I'm good at that. But when it comes to my personal stuff, I can be as lazy as I want. It doesn't really matter because it's my thing.
Right. What was your Briggs Meyer type again?
INFP.
Okay, so we got to figure out what the P stands for because I'm an INFJ.
No, I said
So
before. Okay. I literally at work, we were talking about personality types. And this is why I started thinking about this topic because everyone I work with are artists, okay? And we all have very similar personalities. All of us are pretty much INF something. It's really
INF
weird.
is some of the rarest ones as well, isn't it?
And I don't know, is it? But I'm not sure. But
Well, I know INFJ, my type, is the rarest type, but I
well,
think INF in general is rare.
yeah, I'm not really sure, but it was funny because like some of us were INFP and then some of us were INFJ. And so we looked it up. And I'm trying to see if I can remember what it was. But the J is like judgment or like something like that. And like
Oh, yeah,
P
that's right. I remember
is
now.
P. Man, that's gonna really bother me.
I'm gonna look it up.
But I forgot. I know that that type is more. They call INFP like the dreamer type, or like the dreamer or something like that, like the mediator. And I am a mediator. If there was anything,
Oh, it's prospecting. The word is prospecting.
what does that
So
mean
the
again?
first, I don't know. So yeah, INFP is mediator, is the personality type with introverted, intuitive, feeling, and prospecting traits. These rare personality types tend to be quiet, open-minded, and imaginative, and they apply a caring and creative approach to everything that they do. So this makes so much sense.
It's so
Why are so
weird.
many INFPs and INFJs artists? Well, I just think we just have a weird brain. It's rare and weird, and therefore we make art because other people don't understand us.
But it was so weird.
Maybe? Or maybe we feel like we need to communicate something to other people who don't understand us. I don't know. Maybe that's why we make art. I'm not
But
sure.
it's so weird that like so many of us were all the same person, even though it's like so rare. It says, but it's just like so funny that okay,
And
we all work
I feel
here.
like yeah, like it definitely is a thing. Even my dad, who like will tell you he's not an artist, even though he like creatively directed all of our childhood movies, he is an
Yeah,
INFJ also.
that's
And
funny.
he still makes like all these little creative videos in his own time. Yeah, he's definitely really creative and doesn't even know it. I don't know what my mom's personality type is. I don't think she's ever taken the test, but
I know, I know Sean did recently, but I forgot what it was. But literally, I don't think I've ever really met somebody that was an E on that test. Everyone I talked to has always been an I. I think like, everyone I know is an introvert, I guess. But it's just like everyone I
checks
know
out.
I've never met anyone that was like an E something 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 something. It's always been I something
I've
something.
definitely met E types. I just can't remember like who they are off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Because like I don't talk to everybody about obviously like I
Well, yeah.
don't
I
just
don't.
walk up to people and
Yeah,
ask
I
them like
don't know.
what
Ask
is your
them.
personality type. But I've definitely been in like conversations before where somebody has said like they're an E type and it like made sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was weird. But then we also had another conversation about like, well, how come like, how come a lot of artists are introverts or whatever, and saying I don't know. That was my input. My input was I'm not really sure, but It just seems to be that that's the case. A lot of us.
A lot of us are not recharged by being around other people. Like, we enjoy being around other people. It's
Yeah.
great. But when it's over, we feel like tired and we need to like recharge some other way. Like,
Yeah.
there are certain people who are like energized by being with other people.
Yeah.
I feel like we are not those people. Like, when I'm with other
No.
people for too long, I'm like, okay, I need to go like crawl in a hole, recoup, not speak to anyone for at least one business day. Um,
That's so true. Well, and maybe
yeah.
when you crawl into a hole, maybe the thing that you're doing is you're doing art. Maybe you're editing. Maybe
Yeah.
you're
Yeah. I might be doing art. I might be like spending time in nature. I might be like, I don't know, doing who knows what. Things that don't involve other people. That's for sure. Um,
But it's also funny is like people think that a lot of like really common things like with introverts, like they always think that like, oh, if you're an introvert, that means that you're really shy or that means that you don't like to be around people. But it's like it just means like you need more time away from people. It doesn't mean that you're shy. It just means that
right.
you need time to be by
I
yourself.
exactly. Like it's like I'm
And there's varying
like
levels
of
of
course
it
I
too.
enjoy being around other people. It's literally just that like I can't do it as much as someone else who could probably do it all the time.
Yeah. And all those
I feel
like
like
things people have different like all of them have different like, percentages too. It's been a long time since I've done that personality test and like there are different percentages. So I have no idea like where I fell on the scale of those numbers, but you know, it also depends. People might still be an introvert, but someone's probably more introverted than I am or something.
yeah, like it's a spectrum.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I feel like for me, when I'm around other people, socializing with a lot of other people, I spend so much time like that I'm socializing with them, also like observing them. Like, I feel like that has to be like from my personality type or something. Um, because I feel like I spend a lot of my energy during social interactions just like observing or watching other people and like trying to understand them.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe that's like part of the artist thing because like when I'm taking pictures of people, I'm obviously doing the same thing. I'm observing them, watching them. I'm like
Yeah.
waiting for the right moment. So I think maybe they do go kind of like hand in hand. I feel like people who are more extroverted may maybe spend like less time like thinking about so many things. I
Yeah,
guess while
maybe.
they're like maybe that's why like they're not as tired from it cuz I feel like I'm just always like taking in like bits of information and like data about people.
No,
I
I
don't
feel that.
know.
That
I
makes
could be
sense.
totally off the mark, but that's kind of like what I think.
I think being observant is like a very important trait that an artist has to have. If you're not observant, then it's like, what are you really drawing or what are you really doing?
Yeah.
You know, you have to
Well,
be
it's
able to
like you're
see the world to, well,
yeah, see it and understand it. Like if you want to tell somebody's story, you have to understand their story, like understand more about them. Like I feel like that's why I like to like get to know people before I photograph them because then I like know like what I should focus on. I don't know. It's weird.
no,
I
it
just
that
feel
makes
like
sense. Yeah.
certain things I would focus more on like for certain people.
Well, and
Yeah.
it brings me back to the draw what you see thing because that's something that you're observing. You have to be able, and you get inspiration a lot from what you see. And also like what you listen to and like all of your senses really just like, you know, the whole thing. But a lot
Wow.
of it
Yeah, good
is
point.
observing, you know, and usually artists, like the best artists are really good at, you know, finding what's interesting. And you know how we talk about sometimes like the eye, like do you have the eye for something? Like can you find something and take a picture of
Yeah.
something and be like, ooh, like I'll have these random moments where I'm like doing something really like mundane, like yesterday, the other day or whatever. so stupid. But I was like blow drying my hair, or I don't know what I was doing. But the reflection of like the light in the window onto like something, I don't know, like it was something stupid. And I was like, look, it was in the reflection, it was at the mirror. And I took a picture of what I saw in the mirror because the lighting looked cool. And I was like, man, I'm going to take a picture of that. Why? Am I going to do anything with this? No. But I was like, this is a cool thing. Look at the lighting. Ooh, wow. And it's just stupid. It's stupid, not useful. Like, but
So,
it's,
I mean,
you observe
I feel
it.
like that's part of just like training your eye to like notice those things. If you start noticing it like in your everyday life, then you're gonna notice it like when you're actually trying to make
Yeah.
art.
Yeah.
Like it's something you have to, like you said, like cultivate. And like you said something about the five senses.
Yeah.
I like that, like literally opened up like a gate, like in my head. I
The
was like, oh, we have
floodgates
to go talk about
opened.
that. Like we have to talk about this because it isn't, maybe like what we're not realizing is that it isn't just seeing. Like
Yeah.
it's like all of your senses. Like you have to use all of your senses. Like what does it smell like? What does it feel like? What does it, like how does it sound? Like I feel like those are all things that like help you capture the essence of something. Even if like you're only drawing it or only taking a picture of it. It's like it takes so much energy just to notice all those things and so much focus to just literally try and use all of your senses to like understand what is happening in front of you. That's probably why we're so tired after doing it, because it's like literally just like focusing on using all of your senses to, even if it doesn't show in the picture, it's like you might want that information later while you're editing, like, or you might want that information later, like to like put your own spin on it. Like if it's like windy out or something, like you have to notice that, feel it, notice it, and then change what you're doing to like accommodate that. So it's really just like being present and like noticing all the things.
Yeah. Which is why I think, being observant definitely is something that only really helps you with your art. And if I wasn't as observant and didn't really notice things as much, then I don't think I'd be able to like, you know, be that successful at it. And also is probably why that people say to, drawing from a picture is fine. Like if you want to do a portrait of somebody, and it's not very practical to have someone pose in front of you all the time, but that's why they say like it is better to actually do it in person though, if you ever get the chance, because you can kind of see more about that person when they're right in front of you, and you can notice more things than just like a photo would be able to give you. Like if you're drawing some from a photo,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true. You also might be the type of personality, if you're an artist, to get hung up on new things really easily or get really excited about new stuff and spend all your time researching a new way to do something or finding new equipment and then just knowing everything that, like I
What
got
is
this new
that?
flash.
Oh.
I got this new flash the other day. Yeah, so part of that also is like how well can you figure out how to make your work better? How can you get tools to make it better? What tools should you get? Like knowing what you know about your own process. What would make life easier for you? So I feel like you have to be really like evaluate yourself. You have to be that kind of personality type too, because you're like, okay, how can I do this better? How can I be more efficient at this? Like, and then actually like
Be
do the work to
self-aware.
research like what can be done about it. Yeah, be self-aware and then be willing to like do the work to figure out what is going to help you to be better. If that is equipment, if that's like different techniques, if that's like learning something new, like conceptually. yeah, you just have to be the type that like you're always in a competition with yourself, like trying to outdo your last thing. Like I
Exactly.
feel like, because otherwise, like you're just gonna get bored.
Well, yeah, if you're somebody that doesn't like recognize how you could improve, if you're just stuck thinking that I'm the best, right? Like, oh, like I'm the coolest person around, then you're not really gonna improve ever. And so, I mean, obviously, you know, you don't want your ego to get in the way, basically. You want to have a personality that is like, oh, that's adaptable and like okay to change up your
Yeah,
what
you
you're
definitely have to
doing.
be okay with change.
Yeah, you know, we're
'Cause
still working on that a little bit, but
well, yeah, everyone is resistant to change. I feel like that's normal, but you can't like just completely shut it out. 'Cause like I'm sure like they're coming out with like new like for example, you adapted by like using like Adobe Fresco and like you're like probably always gonna have to keep adapting with technology and like with different like supplies and different things that are available to you. Like certain things go out of style or they go out of stock or they aren't made anymore. Like um
you don't want to be
yeah,
stuck in your ways.
you have to be flexible. Yeah. So like yeah, you gotta be willing to try new things even though you might not want to. Um and you can't just be like, no, I'm not doing that because, you know, I'm stubborn. So that's also something that I feel
Right.
like artists kind of have in common.
And like obviously we know like being creative helps you. But there are like all these other things that you don't really think about when it comes to like how your personality can help you. Like we said, like be observant, adaptable, you know. It is kind of like a whole thing. It's like many different things. So even if you're not that creative, you know, you can still be a good artist. You know, it's like so many different things that you can like so many different parts of your
Agree.
personality.
I feel like you don't have to be very creative to be successful. You just have to, if you're that kind of person who can't just like go with the flow or like you need to like um have things more like structured, I feel like if you feel like you aren't as creative or you feel like you get stuck a lot, you can just be a person that has a very specific routine and a very specific structure where you always do things a certain way. And I've seen people be really successful with that. Like this is just their process. They do this from A to Z and they don't like they might like adapt to like change certain things in it, but they do things in a certain order or they stick to like a very specific type of work. Like you don't have to always be doing really out of the box creative stuff, but if you feel like you struggle, then just putting structure to it is probably going to help.
Yeah, yeah. So everyone is like deals with their you know artistry differently. Everyone has like a different style of doing things. So you know, fair disclaimer. I know I said a lot of artists are introverted and whatnot, and they have similar personality types, but obviously I'm coming from anecdotal evidence. Like I just know a lot of people that have similar, you know, personality types, and but obviously not everybody is going to have that. But it's just kind of funny when you like notice certain patterns of like other artists. Like, oh, okay, so they also have that thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny how like sometimes
I
it
also think
happens.
it is funny. I also wanted to add, because I just thought of this also, like, not only like will putting structure help you if you feel like you struggle being creative, but you can always just go back to the basics. Like, if you literally just follow the rules of how to make a good photograph or how to like make a good painting, like a lot of stuff that is like really cool and like artistic and creative is like things that don't follow the rules sometimes. Like, but if you're like not a person who like really feels like they think outside the box, you can literally just go back to the basics on like how to compose a portrait and like just do it like a like there is something to be said for like the simplicity of just like nailing a portrait.
Yeah.
Like putting like the setting up the lighting exactly as you're supposed to, like textbook, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're struggling and you feel like you don't like your work, like just go back to the basics. Start there again until you feel ready to like, do something else. But I feel like, yeah, like you don't have to be super creative. Like you can literally just follow the rules.
Yeah, there is like a
Anyway, I just wanted to say that before I forgot about it because like I feel like it's super underrated to just like know the basics.
That's so true. That is so true. I could talk about that.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of trending stuff and creative stuff is like stuff that like broke the rules and like is like, not technically good, but like it's somehow visually appealing. But you don't have to do that kind of stuff. Like you can literally just like
That's so
do the basic
true.
stuff.
Like, it's so important to know the basics. And, like, especially when it comes to, like, drawing portraits of people and drawing anatomy, like human anatomy, you need to know certain things. Like, it is really important to know how, like, the proportions of a figure. And, like, all of the best artists who are cartoonists, even people that you think, ooh, they never draw realistically, they know how to do it. Like all the best cartoonists, all of the best like
Right.
surrealist artists who do like, exaggerated figures. Like you'll see it at museums. Like we talk about this in college a lot. Like we'll go to like museums like on like art trips or whatever from school, and they would talk about this artist or artists that have these like figures in their art, and they're all kind of exaggerated, all like really creative. And then I remember like, my professor one day being like, telling us about this artist. I can't remember who it was, but they were from the 1930s, and they did these like really exaggerated figures. And then he was like, "Do you think that like he just knows how to do that, or do you think he also knows how to do like the basics?" And then he was like, at the end of the day, he's like, he knows the basics. Like to be able to do that creative stuff and you want to be really good at that, you have to be able to know the beginnings. You have to be able to know, like, okay, the basics. Once you get that nailed down, it's a lot easier to be creative. And then you can kind of go hog wild and do whatever the heck you want. Like, it's just the way it is. Like, it's always good to know that stuff because then it helps you in the end. It helps you. If you just kind of
I agree.
exaggerate, it doesn't, anyway, that's my little rant.
No, I can compare that to so many things in photography. Like I don't know what you said about like knowing where to start. Like how can you know if something is different from normal if you don't know what normal is? Like you have to know what normal proportions are in order to just like if you know that you want to make, I don't know, the eyes like slightly bigger, then you need to know what normal size eyes are. Because
Yeah.
if you just draw a big eye, you don't know like what if that's normal. Like you need to know the normal size before you can do something else. So I agree, and I also think with photography, this is where like I see like beginners struggle like in the wedding industry because like they like started in the wedding industry before getting to know all their basics and they want to do like the trendy photos and stuff and they want to do like the cool stuff. So they do it, but they like leave out basic stuff from when they do it and like it just ends up not looking good because they didn't like like compose it right or something. Like it just it misses the mark because they just didn't know the starting point.
Right.
And then they get frustrated and then it's like they delivered photos that like they're only like the creative trendy ones and they don't have any like really good just portraits. Like they don't have any like photos that the client actually wants, which is like
It's the
good
number one
pictures
thing.
in focus. Everyone's in focus, everyone's looking at the camera. Like that kind of thing is like really important. Like you can't just do it for the aesthetic of doing it. You also have to provide like the basic things.
You
Um,
you really have to walk before you can run. You need to-
yeah, no, and that's why I really feel like I'm so, like I know I've said this before, I'll say it again. Like I'm so glad that I didn't like just pick up a camera and start doing weddings.
that would
Um,
be terrifying to do. I can't imagine. I can't imagine
I know,
doing
but
that.
there's people that do it, and I'm like, I honestly could not imagine. Like, you need to have some experience first. Like, I mean, I feel like that's true for everything, every other profession too. But in the wedding industry, it's so unregulated. Like, there's no way it'll ever be regulated. But like in other professions, usually you have like on the job training,
Right.
like you have like whatever. But like people can just pick up a camera and be like, I'm a wedding photographer.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just up to like, the couples to like interview their photographers, and like the couples don't know, like they don't know what questions to ask, like and like a lot of people get scammed and it's unfortunate.
Well, and
Um
a lot of what those couples want is the basics. Like they want
right.
their standard pictures where like
Yeah.
everyone's in the shot, everyone's like in yeah, like you said, like they want those things first and foremost. They would probably
Yeah.
fine with like a couple creative shots sprinkled here and there, but at the end of the day,
Yeah. And like clients do want creative shots. Like they will tell you, "Oh, I saw this really cool photo on Instagram. Like I want this." Or like I want the blurry photos, or I want like um double exposures or something. And it's like, "Okay, that's fine. Yeah, but they're going to be disappointed if that's all you give them."
yeah, exactly.
Um so yeah, you definitely got to start small.
Well,
Um
and with those photos, like those ones that those are asking for, like the trendy ones, they're trends for a reason. So you want to make sure that your photos stand the test of time. So if you don't
right.
have the standard basics in 30 years when they're looking at their old photos, being like, that was that Pinterest trend that was really popular for 2 years, and then now it's not that
And
cute
now it looks
anymore.
stupid. Yeah. No, I completely agree. That's why, like, I'm also gonna be offering all the images in black and white as well as color now,
Yeah, it's
because
a good
even
idea.
editing styles change throughout the years. Like,
Yeah.
right now, my editing style is like slightly cinematic and the taddest bit moody. Like, that might be completely off trend in like 10 years. So, like, I want my couples to have the black and whites so they can, they'll stand the test of time, just as you said.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's a popular thing, right? Like a lot of photographers, I think, do like the black and white photos too. So I think that's a good idea. But
Yeah. And I'm sure, like, I obviously am gonna hold on to the images like forever. So if they ever wanted to come back and purchase the raws from me, or they want to purchase a different editing style, then that's fine. But yeah, I just feel like, you know, trends come and trends go, but like there's something to be said for, all the like film photography is so popular all of a sudden now. Like I feel like people just get really nostalgic and like want the basics. I feel like in such a complicated era and time that we're living in right now, it makes sense that people would yearn for simpler times. Like we kind of like want to go back and like turn the clock back, and like I feel like we always tell ourselves that it was simpler back then, even though it probably wasn't.
yeah,
Um,
it's true.
but
Yeah.
still, it's so cool when you look at like pictures of your grandparents or your parents on film, and it's just like, damn, like this photo stood the test of time.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I think the simplicity of it, I think, is kind of what people are drawn to it, like the simplicity.
Yeah, and it's actually cutting down on the work that the photographer has to do. If you take film photographs, or if you edit, like if you even edit your pictures to look like film, you have to do so much less retouching because like tiny little blemishes just disappear.
That's a good point.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually a lot easier to edit. Like
That's so funny.
whenever I shoot with the pantyhose over my lens, or whenever I edit my photos to look like film, I'm like immediately like basically unless the person has like a huge glaring zit somewhere, like I pretty much don't have to do any retouching because and I don't do a lot anyway. I really only remove like like things that are temporary. Um but like I don't do full on like skin retouching like
Yeah.
100%. That'd be crazy. Yeah, it makes my life so much easier.
That's a good point.
I
I really
wish
like your dreamy, soft photos. They're so pretty.
Thank you. Yeah, they're super easy to edit. Like actually half the time because I don't have to do any skin retouching.
It's so
Um,
funny.
but it's also I also do like the dreaminess of it. I feel like it's kind of like I don't know, just magical somehow. I just like it.
But yeah, anyway, I think that moral of the story is creativity is super important trait to have, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the end all be all. And there are also
I like you can
ways,
still be good.
yeah, you can
Yeah.
still be good. And, it's just, it helps you obviously, but it's not something that like if you're struggling with, it's not like you can't create things, can't be a good artist. But yeah, there's something about when you just like nail something, like just like the real basics, like the lighting is good, like just like the real the I keep saying basics, but I'm thinking like the objective, like this thing is good or bad, like the objective facts. Composition good, like I said lighting already, but just the technique is good. If you get technique good, even if you're not that creative, there are a lot of people that paint beautiful flowers all day long and they may not be that creative, but they're probably going to make a good amount of money because they're technically talented. So it's like, it's not everything. It's not everything to be,
True.
you know.
True. That is so true. Don't know if I've talked about this before on the podcast, but I have spent hundreds of dollars on presets trying to find presets that I like and that I feel like describe how I see things. And I've been so disappointed with so many of them.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like really sad. But I think what I'm starting to realize is like, I feel like they are so dependent on like the person that made the presets, like what camera they shoot with.
Oh,
Because like different cameras have like different color calibrations. So I feel like sometimes like presets look weird on my images because like they were designed for like a different camera or something. Or like to be honest, it could even
okay.
have to do with how the images are shot. Like I so I use histograms to make sure that my exposures are good, but I try to expose for the situation. And I feel like that is a very cinematic approach. If I'm shooting in like a big field, it's obviously really bright out because there's light coming from all sides.
Right.
So I'm gonna, when I do my test shot before I get going with the photo shoot, I look at the histogram of the test shot, like on my camera, and I'm gonna expect it to be leaning to the right because that's how the actual scenario is. It's really bright out. So I would expect the histogram to be leaning to the right. There are like photographers who would probably underexpose because they wanted to make it like right down the middle, like the histogram right down the middle. But I like to kind of like preserve how the scene actually looks. So I try to like make it like true to life.
Oh,
But I
okay.
feel like that might be why like some people's presets don't work for me. The presets that I found work the best for me they're actually like a cinematic type preset. I don't have to really adjust the exposures much on them.
I see.
I just like apply the preset and I'm like, oh, this looks how I wanted it to look. It's not too bright, it's not too dark. It doesn't look overexposed, it doesn't look underexposed. It looked exposed for the situation correctly. Or I feel like other times like I put the preset on and I'm like having to like adjust it or something. Like I guess maybe not even just the exposure. I feel like that's kind of like usually spot on with how I want the image to look, but like I'll put the preset on and I'm just like, I just don't like this on my picture. So it just takes time to like find the right presets, a lot of them are just such a waste of money, honestly.
Well, I
And
bet
like
it's
some of them,
really subjective with editing.
I think, well, I think the problem is like when you buy presets, you looking at the preset on someone else's image, how they shot it.
That's a good point.
So their exposures are going to be different. Their camera's going to be different. Like their settings, what they did was different than what you would do. I think that's what it is because I've like looked at a preset and been like, I want my picture to look like that. Then I'll buy the preset, I put it on my picture, and it looks not like that.
I bet
I don't
that's
know.
probably the case.
I think it just yeah, like unless so you have to find a photographer who makes them who has a similar style to you or like something because I don't know. But it's just very time consuming. I finally landed on the SG Summer Grace presets collaboration with G presets and I pretty much only use those now except for like I might use different black and white ones from different ones I've bought. But I'm just happy to finally have a set that I can use consistently
Right.
because it really does help make my images look more consistent.
And for the audience that does not know what a preset is, can you briefly explain what a preset
Oh
is?
yeah. So my apologies. I kind of just went on that huge rant without explaining at all. I'm sure like a lot of people listening like know, but like for the ones that don't, it's just so when you're shooting in manual, you're producing something called a raw image, and it's not like a JPEG file like you would get when you get the final copies. It preserves more detail so the photographer can go in and edit it to their liking. Usually the edits are done in Lightroom or another similar like
Editing.
platform.
Yeah.
And then so what it is, it's like it's literally like a filter. Like you know when you post a picture on Instagram and like you apply like one of the filters that Instagram has. It's kind of like that. So you download them onto your computer and then you have them there always so that you can like put the presets on. It's not as simple as just throwing them on every photo though because sometimes you're gonna need to adjust the preset to make it look how you want it to look and make it look consistent with the other photos, depending on like the lighting you were in, depending on like the colors of the image. Like you might have shot a photograph in like a field of like super green everywhere, and it just when you look at the picture, it's like so green when you put your preset on it, it like doesn't fix how overwhelmingly green it is. So then you have to like adjust the colors in the preset to make it not so vibrant. That's basically what it is. It's basically a filter.
Basically, yeah, the settings that they used for their photos, you're using on your photos.
You can buy someone else's presets. They have made all these adjustments to the picture in Lightroom, then they saved those adjustments as a filter and basically sold it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like selling your style of editing.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, you're selling your style of editing. Wow, that's deep.
Yeah, which is why like I feel like, you know, like if I had made my own presets that were actually good enough to sell, I suck. Okay, I suck at making my own presets. I used to think I was so good at editing. Well, like I wasn't horrible. I knew the basics, right? But I just didn't know how to really take it to the next level. I used to think I would sell my own presets until I started buying presets, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, these are like way more professional than mine.
Well, maybe
Yeah, I
one
feel like you have to
day.
really, really know a lot about Lightroom to be able to make and sell your own presets. Yeah,
One of these days, Allie. One of these days,
I know.
maybe you can do your own.
Yeah, maybe. But honestly, it's so much work. Like, I'd rather just use them and not make my own.
Well, nothing wrong with using them, and then like you can always adjust. You know, I mean, naturally you
Well, that's
always
what I
have to
do.
adjust. I can't
Yeah.
imagine not adjusting that because
I always make small adjustments, but it's so good to have a starting point
yeah.
because, oh man, otherwise I'd be spending hours and hours more than I currently am, and I already am spending hours. Um,
Editing is no joke. It takes forever. Takes forever.
yep.
But
I'm
Anyway,
like halfway done with my branding photo shoot. I'm really excited to share these actually. There were some in there that were kind of like just really um they're going to be much more heavily edited than my previous stuff.
gotcha.
I mean, I'm gonna have some that are classic me. Like about half of them are gonna be classic me.
Classic
But
Allie.
there are gonna be some kind of out there edits. And I'm excited to see the reactions. I feel like it's gonna go one of two ways. Either people are gonna think it's really awful or they're gonna think it's great. So,
Who would think it's
I mean,
awful? I can't
it shouldn't
imagine.
matter. It shouldn't matter what people think. I'm just curious what people think. I like to hear from other people what they think about my work.
I like it. I like that
Um,
you're trying different things. I love when you do your creative photo shoots. Like, they're like so much fun, and I find them inspiring. I like it's just inspiring.
I wish we lived closer so I could do more of them with you.
Well,
Fun
I
seeing Rochelle for the one that we did. We went to it was like a like castle type place. Yeah, we were just kind of like running around the property being hooligans.
hooligans.
Um like right before the park was closing. Yeah, we were like the last car in the parking lot. Um
We
but
would
we
do
weren't there that
that.
long.
We would
We
do
weren't there that long.
stuff
We
like
just
that.
got there late. And then we went and got Chinese food directly after.
Oh my god, I'm so hungry. Um, um, Chinese food sounds really good. Um,
It was decent. The crab rangoon were really good.
sometimes it's hard to find a good crab rangoon. It
Agreed.
depends. It depends, honestly. Obviously, out here, you have a lot more options where I am. Humble brag. Um, but but yeah. So anyway, that's kind of what we felt about a different. We kind of went on a rant a little bit for that. But honestly, that's okay. I like when we go off on rants and go off on different topics.
Yeah, I also
Hopefully.
like when I pretend that I know what I'm talking about and then I listen later. Like, I'll probably listen to this in like 3 months even and be like, I don't know what the fuck I was talking about. Like, none of that is true or accurate. Who
Well, we're
knows?
changing. We're changing all the time.
This
It's
is just
okay.
my, these are, okay, I should, disclaimer, this is not advice from an expert on
When did we
presets and
explain? When did we ever say that we were experts?
I'm not an expert. I am a professional, but I am not an expert.
It's a
These are just
clear
my personal
distinction.
feelings and ramblings about how my work fits with different people's presets and the reasons why I think that might be, which are all just theories. I don't know really. Um, these are just some things I try to tell myself in my head when the preset doesn't look good on my image.
I think that's fair. Hey, it's okay to not. I mean, you can be experts in different things too. You can be better at certain things than others. And if we were experts at it right now, then how are we gonna improve then? How are we gonna
True.
improve?
I
That's
think
that's all
I'm
I
really
gotta
good
say.
at the basics, and I think I am a very good photographer. The editing stuff is still where I'm learning a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's easy to always. And the nice thing about that, though, it's better to be better at the basics and the actual shooting of the photos because then you could always look back later and be like, I can always re edit these.
Right,
So
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
much better to be worse at that because at least you can always improve and you can re edit them whenever you want.
Right.
So,
Or you pay for presets.
oh, your favorite presets.
Makes it
Either
easy. Yeah.
either choice, whatever
Yeah.
works for you, as we always say. Um, oh my gosh! But anyway, we just want to end this podcast episode with just one thing from a classic memory, and we talked about this on a call, like one of our calls that we did like a while ago, or like last week or something, and we're talking about. You remember growing up, we used to call each other a lot. And did we call each other a lot on our cell
Oh my
phones?
God. Oh no, we called on landlines. Okay, so Beth, like from how many years ago was that?
I don't
How
know.
many years ago
We
were we
had a
calling on
landline for
landline?
a while. Like
Like,
we had it longer than other
but it
people
had
did.
to have been like
Over
10, 15
10,
years
15 years,
ago.
something like that. Yeah.
Over 10 or 15 years ago when we would call on landlines because we didn't have cell phones. We did not have cell phones yet. I didn't have a cell phone until I was like 14, 15.
Yeah, yeah. We were
Um,
like
and I think you were
mid
like
high.
similar.
Yeah, I was like
Yeah.
15, 16.
So we would always call on a landline. And so Beth, like, of course, this is who she is. She has a great memory. She recited my landline from like 15 years ago without missing a beat. And then here I am feeling like a shite person because I can't even remember the first three digits of hers. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay. And then I get one digit from the first three. And then I get, the next one and then the next one.
It was
And
so funny.
then
You ended
I
up
literally was so stuck. You tell the rest because I feel like you'll say it better than me.
you took out your
Um,
phone and then you were like, let's see if my
I
muscle
had to type it.
memory.
I had to type it into my phone to be able to remember it. Like I put in the first three digits. Then I think I got the next three too, like kind
No,
of like one in a
you
row.
you
Or
got the first three after the first three you needed help with to figure out, but the last four you got right away. Like you remembered the whole chunk
yeah.
at once.
No, I know that part, but I was just trying to think of like it took me a bit to figure out just the area code. And then I figured out with a little bit of help like the next three and then
Yeah.
literally I typed those 6 digits in, the area code of the first three, and then I go like and I just blurted out the last four and I don't even know where it came from. Like and it was just this wild moment because I made Beth literally stay on the phone with me for like 10 minutes so I could try to remember it. Like I was like, "No, Beth, I know it. I know it." Like I know it. And then I would just sit there in silence trying to think for like a whole minute until she would
It
give
was
me another
funny.
hint. But then literally after like 10 minutes of like making her wait around for this, I like got the last four in like a second. Like as soon as I typed it out on my phone, there was like a moment and then I was like, "Oh my God." And I said the last four and it was just you had to be there
It
really
was
because
so
I was like
funny.
screaming and
You were
like jumping off
jumping
the
around.
couch
Yeah,
and
it
like
was.
basically being like, "I got it." Like it was just like really funny. And I really wish it was recorded because it's just not as funny now
I
that we're
know
just
it
talking
was
about it.
so fun.
But
Honestly, I should have recorded it. It was so funny.
like the like
It's just so funny how like your memory works. It's like you'll remember,
I know.
it in chunks. Like because whenever you talk about phone numbers, right?
Yeah,
You don't
no,
do
like
one at a time. You know like the first three and then the last four, and like, that's how like you know it. It's just kind of funny.
and like for me, I always remember and learn best by actually doing something. So
Yeah,
all it took was me just typing out the numbers on my phone for the rest to come back.
yeah, it was so good.
Um,
It was such a good moment.
and I really, at that point, had almost given up. Like, I'm pretty sure Beth had given up. She did not think I really knew. And then, boom, boom shakalaka. Um, it all came crashing back.
It was so funny. Oh my god! But I believed in you. I didn't. I just didn't think that you were gonna say the last four so fast,
I
like out of
know.
nowhere. I thought you were gonna do like
That's
one.
that's why it was so funny because
Yeah,
I didn't it wasn't like I was like, "Oh, it's this and this." I
yeah.
was like, what was it again?"
All right, everyone. Here's my phone number. The last four is one beep beep
Yeah. So then like out of nowhere I'm just
beep.
like after like having to get one at a time for like the
Yeah,
first six.
it was so funny. But yeah. So thank you guys for hanging out with
Oh, one
us.
last
Oh,
quote cuz I have tea every episode anyway. This is the quote from my tea bag.
oh, okay. All right, I'm excited.
What a desolate place would be a world without a flower. Clara Lucas Balfour.
Oh, I love flowers.
And on that note,
And then that note, everyone go smell a flower. Go outside and
Stop and smell the roses.
yeah, go outside and really get a face
Just
full of
really,
some flowers
yeah, put your nose directly in it.
and go.
Especially the lilacs. The lilacs are in bloom right now. So go find yourself a lilac bush and give it a big sniff.
Same. Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching and for bearing and listening through all of my nasally voice. I appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you all in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.